I think I have an example. Here you are tracking your sales before doing the social media campaign. Before social media, week 32, 33, 34, you had an 8% growth. Nothing really happened. But here you can see actually the social media campaign week 34 appears to be very efficient because you achieve a 60% sales conversion growth due to social media. The social media campaign is very efficient. But a fictive example, if the sales would stay at the same level, like here, a straight line after the social media campaign, in that case, you have not achieved your objective, and it would make sense to reformulate your campaign because you can see you did not achieve your objective. That is what I mean. When you fix the objectives, you compare the objective with the real data, and accordingly you compare. If you achieve the objectives like here, even more, then you have nothing to change. If you don't achieve your objectives, you have to review your objectives because perhaps you were too ambitious, or you have to choose other media channels in order to be more efficient. We have here another example, the measurement of positive or negative word of mouth. And this is compared with store traffic. So you overlay your data coming from your e-commerce platform. And you can see that actually the number of positive word of mouth increases in September. And what does happen? You can see that the more the positive word of mouth increases, the more the store traffic also increases. So you can see here a straight relationship between positive word of mouth. You see also the negative word of mouth decreases, and so you're creating more satisfaction. People become more satisfied. They're doing more positive word of mouth. And you can see here a direct impact on your retail store traffic, which means that you have achieved your objectives. To be sure, it would be good now to do a regression analysis to show the direct link between positive word of mouth and the increase of store traffic. So this is what we say. You establish your benchmarks and your objectives, and you compare actually what happens as you have this data. And you adjust, so apply what you've learned from social media analytics to future activities. So if you know that actually positive word of mouth increases store traffic, then it would be good to replicate in the future. And it would be good to incentivize customers to do positive word of mouth, because you know that actually positive word of mouth impacts positively your store traffic and subsequently your sales. And if you know that actually social media campaigns work well on the sales conversion growth, then you don't have to adjust, you don't have to correct, you replicate for future campaigns. And what works well, you replicate. What works bad, you stop and you adjust and try to find other means to achieve your objectives. For this, you can use a lot of tools. This is, for example, Who's Talking, Blog Pulse, Google Alerts, Google Trends, How Sociable. Here I used, for example, How Sociable. You only have to put the URL link of your website or of your e-commerce platform or Facebook campaign, and you can see here who is talking about L'Oréal. Here the timeline, and you can see that actually there are different points where people are talking about L'Oréal. Here, for example, they're talking more. You know exactly, for example, in July, there's an increase about L'Oréal talking. So something happened. L'Oréal did a social media campaign, and then L'Oréal would directly be able to attribute the impact of the social media campaign on who's talking, the number of mentions people are talking about this brand. So that is why you can use these tools. And as you know, when you did which campaign, you can exactly attribute your campaign to the results about who is talking. That is why you should use these tools, and you know what you actually did in terms of media campaign at this moment. Or you can use Google Trends. Here's an example for artificial intelligence. This is actually the number of posts, people who are talking about artificial intelligence from 2011 to 2021. And you can see the number of people talking about AI is continuously increasing. Basically, mainly in China, because for China, AI is a high priority. And you see the top 4 countries talking about AI are from Asia, which shows that Asia is paying high attention to AI. You could use Google Trends with the brand. You put the name L'Oréal, and you can see who is talking about this. I take another example. I put University of Toulouse and Assumption University. And I compare who is talking. So first of all, you can see that University of Toulouse has more brand awareness, because you can see since 2011, so I'm analyzing 10 years, in average, people are more talking about University of Toulouse than Assumption University. Why? Because University of Toulouse, the research university, publish more. University of Toulouse also better ranked in the Shanghai class ranking. So this is one explanation. So in terms of brand awareness, you can do a benchmark, you can compare your competitors with your brand. You can also see that there are some peaks. Something happened, for example, here, nobody's talking about Assumption University. There's some moments they're talking about. This is probably related to communication campaigns. And you can see here, for example, a lot of people talked about Toulouse here in 2015, when an economics professor of Toulouse, Jean Tirole, won the Economic Nobel Prize. That is why you see an increase here. Another increase was here in 2018, when the business school changed the name, because formerly our IAE business school, and now the name is Toulouse School of Management, TSM, which is much easier for internationalization. And so TSM did a big media campaign, social media campaign, about the change of the brand name in October 2018. And you can see that actually this brought TSM a lot of talks. A lot of people talked about TSM. But whenever you stop the media campaigns, you can see that, like for advertising, you can see that actually TSM come back to baseline, which shows that it is very important to continue a media campaign. Because when you stop the media campaign, the social media campaign, people are also stopped talking and people are forgetting, which shows that it's important not only to reach people, but the frequency is also important. The more the frequency of the advertisement, and this is all for classical advertisements. Typical the success, big brands like Procter & Gamble is related to reaching and repeating, because they repeat all the time advertising messages. And that is what you can also see here. When you stop frequency, people forget your brand and they're not talking anymore about it. It's important to know what happens here, and probably if you have peaks, exactly attribute the success of this campaign here to this peak. So you can use Google Trends to measure this kind of social media campaign. Another tool is opinion mining or sentiment analysis. This is actually like satisfaction measuring. So you scrap text from Facebook or from forums or from your website or from review sites. Today you have tools that you can use. For example, you have a tool which is called AppFollow, where you can collect all the positive or negative reviews about your app. And you have statistical tools, for example, SPSS or R Commander, which is another tool, which enables you to use text analysis, to analyze linguistics, so the words, and you can extract, identify, quantify, and study affective states and subjective information to measure satisfaction, attitudes, and opinions. Today, you can even analyze voice, picture, and video data. As analysis tools become more and more sophisticated and efficient, you can more and more analyze all kinds of data. So text, video, and photo data. And you can then use it to measure satisfaction. For example, here you see you have the text, which is scanned. Here, this gives you an output about the number of people who talk positively or negatively about your brand. For example, 90% talk positively here and 11% negative. There's a YouTube video you can look at where opinion mining or sentiment analysis is more developed if you want. And this content analysis analyzes text, pictures, audio, and video, gives you deep insight, classifies the information, and analyze it in topics. I give you an example. So you can use R, statistics software tool. You can scrap the user's reviews from your website. And there are software tools that enable you to scrap this data, and then you can study. In our study, the example I'm showing to you, we are monitoring health applications, sports apps with reviews, and we have scrapped from health applications over 6 years, from 2014 to 2020, almost 400,000 reviews, which we analyzed with our text mining, topics modeling. It's a large amount, it's really big data. And the result is here. So you can see here what the topic modeling is doing. We found that from the words, there were 8 topics which were important for the application satisfaction. The fact that the application improves sleep quality, improves food nutrition quality, improves heart activity, improves weight, so well-being related, improves user experience, and this is more about, say, gamification, so it's hedonistic, improves the relationship between the brand and the customer. There are some topics related to connectivity or ease of use. So connectivity means that the application is easy to use, easy to install. You can see here actually even the topics and the words which were used to classify that. And finally, a last topic is about personalized communication. So you can see the research benefits when using applications, health applications, are the 8. So most of them are related to well-being. Some of them about user experience, some about customer relationship management, some about ease of use, ergonomics, and some of them about marketing, so personalization. So this is coming from almost 400,000 reviews we have analyzed with topic model. So from the marketing point of view, it is important now, you know, that if you want to develop good applications, it's important that these applications have these features, because these features are actually satisfying the customers, and these are the features, the benefits researched by customers. And this is only done with TextMine. And then we measured actually the ratings. You know, the applications were rated between 1 and 5. So high satisfaction 5, low satisfaction 1. And you can see the 8 dimensions. We can see that, for example, connectivity contributes to a high amount to satisfaction. It means it's very important to work on connectivity, ease of use, because if you don't have ergonomic applications, then users are not satisfied and they won't use your application. You can see the foot activity is also the brown one here. It's also very important for satisfaction. So if the application does not really take into account foot activity, then the application has no value. You can see blue one, weight, it's not very important. Personalization does not seem to be very important, but you can see here the sleeping activity appears to be important. Customer relationship management is also important. So you can see from scraping review data, you can see which are actually the topics which are important for customers, the benefits research. And we did a regression analysis, then we can see which of these dimensions, of these topics, had a positive impact on the evaluation of the rate. You can see as a brand manager, it's very important to use the feedback, the input coming from the social media campaigns. You have a lot of software tools which count the words, and you can see here actually the bigger the word, the more it's in the center, the more it's important. As you can see, for example, Uber is characterized in New York City, cheap, so the price. Oh, this is an example I just recently did for Amazon. So you can see people love Amazon. They have a positive image. It appears to be a good brand, a good application. It's easy to use. Always ease of use comes back. So the more an application is easy to use, the better it is. It's a great service. They like the service. Time means quick delivery. So you can see with this content analysis, even with this kind of word bubbles, you can easily measure the perception or satisfaction with the brand. And that's what I said to you, interaction with the brand. In your brand community, it's very important to listen to your community, to see what they like and what they don't like. What they like, you can even improve it, or even you have to maintain it. What they don't like, you have very quickly resolve the problem. Come back to the idea of controlled owned media. That is why if you have your own media, the fan page, you can very quickly do sentiment analysis. If there are bad reviews or bad word of mouth, you can very quickly discuss with people in order to make them satisfied, in order to decrease dissatisfaction, and in order to increase satisfaction. That is why sentiment analysis is very important. It's a little bit like listening the wind, listening what is happening in your community. Whereas if you measure that with a simple net promoter score, you don't really know why people are not satisfied. Here you can see actually people are satisfied with all of these dimensions, but you could also measure why they are not satisfied with all of these dimensions. This is another example with BuzzSum. You can actually measure how many people talked about brands on Facebook, on Twitter, on Pinterest. And you can see, as we said, we changed from IAE, Toulouse, to Toulouse School of Management in 2017. And you can see here that actually a lot of people talked about that on Facebook. 493 people talked about that on Facebook, only 13 on Twitter. And so we can see that Facebook is a better tool, which is evident because Facebook has more space to write. So it's more nice also because you can post pictures and see which are actually the most important social media when we change the name of our business school.